Music dentro, Rafa. Gol! Ebram! Gol! È l'azione più bella del mondo! È l'azione più bella!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Olifisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
One of these days I'm going to quit.
Just on the team in general.
Yep. We're getting real close.
Oh man. I did say just before we hit record, this could be our most toxic episode ever.
Yeah.
It's certainly up there with the most important. We've got a lot to talk about. 4 games, but there's a hell of a lot going on around that too. And some questions as well. We got some interesting questions. So it's going to be a big ep. Stay tuned. Stay with us. But before we dive into everything, shred the meat from the bones, so to speak, I want to say thank you to our Substat founding members, Des Windsor McGlynn, Theo Mac. Fucked up on second name. That never usually happens.
That's a
try again.
Good omen for this episode, huh?
Yeah, well, fucking up early on. Yeah, it's a theme. Des Windsor McGlynn, Tito Matt, Morris Pullman. And now I've got a cough. Mate, I've genuinely got something in my throat.
All right, well, while you handle that, if you need to go get a drink of water, I could pull up the list here and give it a shout. Except I got to find it.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Joey Gawler, Kemin, MJ, Mats, Luke Villano, Raul Escobar, Jack Calofassi, Nasser, Merlin Finker, Derek Favretto, Heavenly 13, Mike Schulz, JT Physio, Tarek, Marco Villela, Roberto Racinos, Ken, and Medi K. I'm really sorry there. I don't know what's happened. I think I just took a little gulp of water down the wrong chute there before starting. Over on the Substat, in the past week, what you can find, and as a reminder, you can do a free trial for a week to see how the usual cycle goes over there. The pub chat that Lorenzo and Stefano did, which went out on Sunday, was about Milan's best centre-back pairing. Obviously, under Fonseca, rotated them all and then sort of ended on 2 before he got sacked. Conceição was come in. He seemed to have settled on a 2, but now we're back to rotating them again. So they debate what is actually the best and the most complementary pairing. The bonus pod that we did last Friday, Keep or Sell, was quite literally that. There's talk of revolution in the air in the summer, a lot of potential star outgoings. So we went down every single member of the senior squad and spoke about who we would build around for next season. Isaac's bonus article was about how much 270 minutes cost Milan, the financial implications of not going directly into the last 16 of the Champions League, and then, as we're going to talk about here, getting knocked out by Feyenoord, the revenues that were squandered and the impact that it could have on the club's project. And the newsletter, worse than the banter era, was about the Feyenoord game and how farcical it all ended up being. Again, we're going to go into it. News Bulletin was also in that, which had the six biggest stories. Well, more than that, actually, from the previous week. So, yeah, reminder, you can go check that out. I also had a question from a listener/viewer in the past week asking what exactly a founding member is. A founding member is somebody who subscribes to the Substat for the year, but they pay a bit more than the normal rate, which is 50 sheets, €50 or $50. It's a custom amount, but it only goes up to 100. And with that, you get the shout out, and it helps us out a lot.
And you get access to the Discord.
Access to the Discord, yeah. And through there, you can ask your pod questions and all that kind of thing. It's a bit of a preferential lane. We're trying to build a closer knit community there because, the discourse on social media is pretty damn toxic at the moment. So we think it's become a nice safe haven for logical discussion without insulting each other. I think that's what it is for now.
I don't know. I feel like every time I get a notification, it's not always kind to me.
That's well, sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder why. What do I do?
All right. So we got 4 games. Let's start with the one that you didn't think that we had to / didn't want to cover. Feyenoord, second leg. 1-0 down after the first leg to Igor Pakšau's goal. The mission was simple. We knew we needed to win in order to have a chance of going through to the last 16, but winning by 2 clear goals within the 90 minutes would have got us through without the need for extra time and penalties. I can't. I know the Fab Four started, but I can't even remember the rest of the starting lineup from this game.
I mean, that was basically it. It was the usual. No Tamori, obviously.
Yeah.
Kyle Walker played until halftime, right?
Uh,
Oh, he just missed it altogether.
yeah. Chao Pavlovic, Theo at left back. Come on to him. Oh yeah, there was no Fab. Musa started in defensive midfield alongside Right. And yeah, then the four up top couldn't have started any better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Santiago goal in the first minute.
Yeah, 39 seconds I think was the official time.
I think it was a little less. I think it was 36.
36.
Yeah. Score against your old team, that's always a great start. The momentum at that point was still fully on our side, I would say. The entire first half was one-sided. And I would even go as far to say the beginning of the second half was one-sided in our favor as well. I mean, we all know what the main talking point is of this game. Just get to it, I guess. Theo Hernandez, red card for diving. It was a clear dive. I don't understand the need for it because it looked like he beat the guy. It looked like he had an option to pass it. He didn't have to go down. He could have continued. He had more space. It wasn't like the ball was like I don't believe the Feyenoord defender. Was it Reed or Red?
Reed, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he even got the ball, so it wasn't like it was going to go out. It was just a couple steps ahead of him. Yeah. And I think Teo's quick enough. He could have got it. His first yellow card was also an obvious yellow, shirt pull. No reason for that either. It wasn't like they was on a break. It wasn't it wasn't a situation where that was the only way to stop it. It wasn't a tactical foul. It was just a silly foul. And then he gets a second yellow for simulation, and it's the right call. He deserved it. So he's sent off. I mean, that changes everything. The whole dynamic of the game at that point. I just pulled up the momentum grid on FotMob. We have the entire first half and the start of the second half right up to that red card. And it's immediately all Feyenoord until the 77th minute. And then we close out with momentum, but it was too late at that point.
Yeah, it was. Like I said in the preview, that I reserved an element of nervousness about this particular game because I always back us to have a fuck up in us, and it proved to be the case.
Again,
but I said that with an early goal, I thought that everything would just calm down, and from there, it was all in hand. And I still kind of feel like that, even up until the halftime whistle. I was thinking, we've had them there in the first half. They were on the ropes. They couldn't really play out. We were just lacking a little bit in the final third after we scored that goal. I did think that scoring after 30-odd seconds, that from there, it's like you go 2-3 and you completely take them out of the game. Because for an additional bit of context for this particular tie and the second leg within it, you've got the Jimenez, we take their best player. You've got them sacking their coach and appointing the under-23s manager and stuff. But Quinton Timber, their captain, got injured in the first leg and is now looking likely to miss the rest of the season. They came into this game with 10 injuries and they started multiple teenagers in the team. They had their youth team striker up front, a guy called Redmond. And yeah, it's just fucking laughable that we've been knocked out in this way, really.
Yeah. And we should have put it to bed early. We had, I'm looking at it now, 11 shots in the first half. 6 of those were inside the box. Only 4 shots on target in the entire half. Obviously, 1 being the goal in the first minute. So after that, we only had 3 on target, which is worrying when you realize the amount of shots we took and how close they all were. Really, probably should have got a second. I can't remember who had it, but there was an opportunity when I went back and rewatched the highlights.
You rewatched it. Interesting.
So actually, I didn't realize I was. What I watched was a clip where it was on an Instagram reel, and someone commented or put the comment, everyone's favorite commentator is sad today. And it was the Mario Sumo commentary of him getting excited from Santi all the way down to the Theo and then the goal. And it was kind of comedic at that point, but sad because I knew it was affects me, sadly. So But
Yeah, it does.
yeah,
that's
there were a
fair
couple
enough.
opportunities where I was like, how did that not go in? We really should have scored another one. And it
The-
it was
the-
brutal.
there was There's that one towards the end of the first half where I think João Felix did a good bit of work on the right side of the box, and he played a perfect cutback basically across the edge of the 6-yard box, and it
Mhm.
just rolled all the way through with nobody to tap it in. And
Yeah.
you just start of thinking, okay, like it's promising, right? When you're creating all this and you're generating the pressure, and we were basically camped in their half for the entire first half, you start thinking, oh, I do back us to find a way here.
Mhm.
There's only one team going to score the goal. But then
Yeah.
when you see a chance like that kind of go begging, you go in level at the break on aggregate, and you just start thinking, what if it's not our night? And what if we live to regret that first half, while we were on top? And then, yeah, we come to the Theo thing because obviously there was a card either side of the break. And I think that at the moment, being a manager about to face Milan is probably the easiest gig in the world because it's such a simple team talk. Stay in, especially if you're a team that's inferior on paper, you say to them, stay in it, lads, and let them make the mistake because they're going to make a big mistake that will
Yeah.
gift you the opportunity to win the game or win the tie in this case. It's happening every week now without fail, and we'll come
Yeah.
on to Torino.
Week in, week out.
Just stay in it and let them do the fucking up. And that is exactly what happened. I have to give credit to Feyenoord over the 2 legs because they scored early in the first one and kept us out. That's like someone had a go at me for praising them for being organised and for showing more maturity than what we did over the 2 legs. I'm like, how could you come up with any other conclusion than that?
Yeah.
They kept
Exactly.
their heads in the vital moments and we didn't. We made the big mistakes. They didn't make any. They had a bunch of kids out there that looked far more ready for this big game than
Mhm.
our supposed leaders. It was a fucking shit show from third minute of the first leg. Moment that Reinders' chance is missed, and then they go 1-0 up at De Kuip. But then, the paradox of that with we go and we level it up so early in this, and we still don't go through. It's just, yeah, it's mad. It's the latest. It's the latest bit of garbage to throw into this bin fire of a season that we're watching. And let's do the Theo thing. I mean, you've spoken about it a little bit already. I mean, the first one is the really bad one for me, which I know sounds contradictory because it's not the one that got him sent off, but he was a yellow away from suspension anyway.
Forgot about that.
So to accept that suspension by ragging a man down by his shoulders on the halfway line in the first half of a game is mental. Now, I did say in the preview, what if, one of the guys that's a yellow card away commits that foul knowing that they'll
And
serve
that's
it
what I was
in
thinking too
the
when you said it.
yeah, I'm thinking that looks so bad that it's deliberate. He's gone to get his yellow card out of the way there until until he decides to then commit the second sin, which actually compromises our entire journey in the Champions League. The dive. Now, controversially, I hold the opinion that it's not the most egregious dive that I've ever seen. Would I have given a free kick and a second yellow card for it? Yes, I would have. But I think what's happened is he's knocked it beyond the man, and the man, Reed, has swung a leg. He's tried to kick the ball away, and he's way behind it. So that leg's coming, and Teo's kind of either jumped to go into it or jumped maybe to genuinely as an instinct reaction try and avoid it. But in doing so, has hopped over the contact that might have been coming and just looks like he's thrown himself to the floor. Only he will know in his mind if that's exactly what he meant to do or whether it was a poorly executed bit of selling it, or whether it was just a genuine, I need to get out of the way, I'm on the floor now. But one thing I did notice was the reactions of all the players around, barring Reinders, who put his arms up like, hey, João Felix in particular was like this. It's like, oh no. Like knowing what was about to happen.
Well, he's
So
also one of those players.
yeah, true. Yeah, yeah.
He likes that too.
Like, I've
But
mastered
you're
the
right.
craft, buddy.
If Reed does go in, so if you're Theo, you either stay up, try to get back to the ball that isn't out of your reach. You can get to that ball still, or you don't jump. You go through the leg and get the penalty call.
You take the contact. You've got to
There's
take the
two types
contact.
of flops. There's the types that are no contact. You just jumped. You're hoping for the best, which in the world of VAR, it is a yellow card for simulation.
Yeah.
You don't get away with dives anymore in the penalty box with VAR. Not no contact ones. Maybe you'll get a call if there's little contact and you embellish it just to draw attention. That's different. But if there's no contact, there's no penalty. There's VAR. It's 2025. But
Yeah.
the other type of dive he could take is the one where he intentionally keeps his feet rooted to the spot and gets hit, takes a tiny little knock. He's not going to be out. He's not going to get injured. Fall to the ground. Now you have a legitimate penalty. That's how you force a penalty. That's how you win the penalty. You know, it's not like you're holding someone's arm up to get a handball. You're getting hit when you don't have the ball and they don't touch the ball. That's a penalty. So why you try to jump over it and take the penalty? Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Pick one. Either try to win the ball and score a goal, which he almost did in the 23rd minute. He hit the side netting, I think, or the post or something like that.
Post, that rebound that came out, and he kind of sliced it, but still it wasn't far away. You spot on. As I say, both were yellow cards, and he can have absolutely zero complaints. He has, I want to say single-handedly, but like ironically, the other incident that probably got us where we are now is Musa getting sent off in that Dinamo Zagreb game. So either way, a lack of discipline from important players has cost us in the decisive moments. And again, we'll come on to it in the next game, but it just feels like any
mistake in the first leg.
Maignan mistake. Yeah, it's always the individuals. It's always the moments when you need them not to happen, you know? Like, you can make a fuck up at 3-0 up, and it has a much lesser impact in the overall scheme of the game. But these are happening early. These are happening, you know, the key, the pivotal turning points in matches. And anything that can go wrong for us at the moment does seem to be going wrong.
And when you're rarely scoring more than one goal a game now, you can't be doing that. I mean, when was the last time we scored more than one? I'm just going to go back and look here. Empoli, February 8th. I mean,
well, you got the fuckwit 4 up front who have scored one goal in 168 minutes. Speaking of which, right? So it's bad. It's a bad situation. I was watching the game with Jordan, the missus, and when we went down to 10 men, we were both kind of in disbelief, thinking that's not good. But she said, rightly so, well, you should still beat them. Like, even a man down, it's Feyenoord, and you're still on top in the game. You'll be fine. You'll go through. And second, like, from there on, it was like we were kind of defeated still. I felt anyway. When was the red card? I need to just
51st minute.
51st minute. So it took Conceição 12 minutes to make a substitution, and he decided to bring on Bartazagi for Pulisic. Then 71st minute, he brings on Fofana for Jimenez. 83rd, he brings on Chukwueze and Abraham for Musa and Reinders. I think that week by week, slowly, I am unfortunately being proven right about Conceição. His game management is fucking dreadful. And if you needed proof of it, my God, there you go. Those substitutions were so scattergun. Like, I don't think he knew what he was so reactive rather than proactive, but reacting 10 minutes after that moment in the game, you know? You choose quite a substantial amount of time after the red card to bring on the left back to then go back to a back 4. I would have kept going with a 3-man defence, potentially, because you got Walker out there on the field. We need to win this game. So there's your 3 centre-backs, and then you can readjust the team from there on. Brings on Bartazagi at left back, and sacrifices a forward in the process. Realises then that we've given up the middle of the field as a result because of the work that Pulisic does, tracking back into those right half spaces. So he brings on Fofana. For Jimenez, main goal threat, and then decides to put João Felix as a false 9 type player. I said false 9 because he just ended up being completely lost. And then 12 minutes after that, he brings off a midfielder because we need to then go for it. Well, he brings off Reinders and Musa because he realises that with 7 minutes on the clock, we actually need to score a goal. And he decided then to bring on another striker, having sacrificed a striker. Now, he did say after the game that Jimenez wasn't at his best. Like he
Yeah,
might have
him
been
and
a knock,
Pulisic.
and
But
he was playing
still.
through a bit of pain. So maybe that was the main motivation, but I just feel like he got the tactical reshuffles in the 3 substitution windows all wrong here. I would have, if you had to take Jimenez off, I'd have gone with Leao leading the line, and you go for pace and directness on the counter. There is no way you can end up with João Felix down the middle. I also felt a bit sorry for Batazagi to be thrown on into that. As I say, I would have stuck with the 3 at the back and maybe tried to readjust that way. And then, you're bringing off Rind as your main creative midfielder, the one who's going to try supply some quality into the box for Chuck and Abraham, because you've realised a bit too late that I just didn't like it. I think we pissed it away.
Yeah, I
And
agree
then
with
the
you.
goal,
I mean,
goes in from a wide area as well. Sorry.
Yeah, it was the I don't remember who scored it. Carranza, who was standing perfectly in between, behind Pavlovic and in front of Bartazagi. Neither of them jumped. It just went. I mean,
I mean, I don't
you
know who
could
you
put blame
blame for
on.
that.
I think he put more on Pavlovic because he's in front of it. You know, I guess Bartazagi sees
Yeah.
it and he sees it going to the guy, but surely he's thinking, of all defenders, Pavlovic is jumping to get this ball, and you don't want to
Yeah.
headbutt the back of your teammate's head. So I get why Bartazagi wouldn't do it, but
Well, Carranza was
you
the
got to
centre forward as
communicate
well.
too. You know,
So, Carranza was the guy who came on for Redmond in the second half. So, the centre back has to mark the centre forward. You know, you're not asking your left back to mark the centre forward. That's not how it works. Sometimes a centre forward can make a different run, maybe off the shoulder of the far man. That's a little bit different, but in this case, he nestled in. And that's why I lean more towards Pavlovic. But maybe Pavlovic has seen chaos ahead of him and thought, I can't leave what's going on there, and you hope Bartazagi picks him up. But look, it was a good delivery and it was a powerful header, and there was nothing we could do about it.
Yeah.
But again, it's just it was the whole reactive changes, because they sort of toyed around with us and forced us into these changes, and then like we decided to bring on the left back to go back to the back 4. Then we brought on the midfielder because we were getting done down the middle, and then we get done by a cross, of course. Like it just shy.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and like I think overall Pavlovic has had a good game and been one of our best players in recently. So I don't want to like harp on him like this is his fault, but ultimately I do think this is his goal that he let in. I don't blame Theo for this goal. Obviously, he's the reason we were in the situation to concede the goal, but Pavlovic should have done better there. He should have got up. If you jump and miss, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, it's a great cross. He got to it. But if you just sit there like this and watch it go above you and the guy who's standing behind you jumps up, gets it, it's like, do more. You could do better. And a guy like Pavlovic, who is always doing the most, is someone who you're going to hold to that standard of you didn't even try, you know? So that's frustrating. But Bartazagi coming on for Pulisic, I know they said Pulisic was hurt and that he still doesn't have 90 minutes in his legs, even though he played the full 90 against Torino. Look, I think it's the wrong sub. I don't think you bring on a guy like Bartazagi. I just don't think he's ready for this type of game situation. Down a man, needing a goal to go through in the Champions League. I just don't think that's the right move for a youth player. I agree with you keeping it 3 at the back. I think that's the way you go because Walker can play as a center back. You just have him slide in there. Now you got 3 in the middle. I would consider, and this is going to sound crazy, especially because what I'll say in the Torino match, in this situation, I would consider taking Leao off more, just because he's not going to be as defensive minded, and you do kind of want a little bit more defense on that left side. But it's just, none of it makes sense. Like yes, you explained it correctly. He put on Bartazagi because he needed a left back, and then he brought on Fofana because he realized Pulisic was doing a lot more in the midfield and he lost it. But you got to be able to see that ahead of time, right? Like as the manager, and I keep saying he hasn't had a lot of time, but he's had enough time to see who's doing what where. He knows Pulisic's dropping back and doing a lot in the midfield. That's why he's been getting full 90s. And
do you know who he has had a lot more time than? Boschart, the Feyenoord manager, got out coached by an interim. Ultimately, over 2 legs. That's problematic.
With teenagers.
I'm telling you, the writing's on the wall here. He ain't making it to next season.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked.
Maybe the end of
at
this season.
Point. I mean, his his words after the Torino game are very different. How he said like something like speaking from the heart, our season's not
Yeah.
over yet. We're still fighting for top 4. This is a guy who came in on day 1 and said, the only thing that matters is winning. We're going to try our best to win everything, including
Yeah.
Scudetto. When we all were already resigned to the fact that it's not happening. But to hear the change of tone for him to go from like this aggressive, scary guy that's going to yell and get the best out of you to just being like, please guys, still believe we can do it. I promise it'll happen. I don't know if it's
It's a
almost
bit
like
like losing his mind.
yeah, I think it's like a mentality shift. Like, what do I have to do to get the best out of these players? And we've seen it with like three consecutive managers now that they don't
Yeah,
know
and
how to get the best out of them, and that's worrying more than the performances. If you have a team filled with star players like we do, and you don't know how to get the best out of them, and multiple managers are unable to do it, that's scary. That's really scary. So,
yeah, and I'm not even saying like what I want to happen because, for him to lose his job at the end of the season or before the end of the season implies that the wheels have really fallen off. And I don't want that to happen. I want us to win 10 games in a row now and finish in the top 4. That's what we want to happen. I'm just saying that, like, with every passing week, my doubts about this whole situation and Conceição's role within it, which is really difficult. And I don't think many coaches in the world would be able to thrive in these circumstances or even keep their heads above water in these circumstances. But I just wonder if it's all unfurling at a way quicker rate than anybody, especially the directors, thought that it would. Let's wrap this up because it's miserable.
yeah, I just want to
Flop,
see.
Theo. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 100%. It tells a flop, but I'm just trying to see. Had we been in top 4 at all this season? Like, obviously, we drew our opener against Torino, coming back from 2-0 down. So I just wanted to see like the progression of it. Did we ever get up there? But it looks like the Wikipedia hasn't updated that yet. Normally, they do it at the end of the season.
I think we have been, but I can't remember when.
Yeah, I
But
don't feel
still,
confident.
it's been a long time. We've definitely been 7th for a longer period of time than we've been top 5, shall we say.
What's crazy
but
is Mike has the second most clean sheets in the league right now. It does not feel like that. That's crazy. Only one less.
Yeah,
than
and
some.
we've got the 7th best attack in the league. Anyway, Champions League's done. We're out of it. Whatever. Feyenoord got Inter are going to slap them 5-0 over 2 legs, and it's going to be embarrassing, but that's the way
If
it goes. I
Feyenoord
suppose at least
take
we've
out both
avoided
Milan,
them.
if they take out both Milan clubs, though, that'd be
Hell of a
special.
double.
Yeah.
Hell of a double.
Reminds
So,
you of Spurs 2011 or 2010, maybe 2012.
Did they take out?
They took both of us out. Us in the group, or no, Inter in the group, and then us in knockouts, or vice versa. It was Bale. He scored that hat trick.
Yeah, Bale. But they lost that game 4-3.
Yeah, but I thought they went through, didn't they?
Yeah, they went through, and then we lost to them 1-0 on aggregate. That was when Gattuso throttled Joe Jordan. Mad.
Good times.
Can't believe how long that's 15 years ago, 14 years ago
man.
now. Oh, where does time go? Well, flop Theo, man of the match Pavlovic, even though I know we've just spoken about, is it? Or is it just Jimenez because he scored the goal and was taken off a bit too early? I don't know.
I mean, let's see what Flop Mob says. They say Jimenez, but
yeah, I just don't know if we can say Pavlovic was largely at fault for the goal that knocked us out and then say man of the match.
Exactly.
But it's just the heart thing. Like, at times he's the only one. And by the way, if it were up to me, I wouldn't like to see our centre back playing as a left winger.
Yeah,
in
that'd
the
be great,
final
right?
few
If
minutes.
it wasn't a striker.
Like, people are like, look at Pavlovic. He's the only one who cares. He's putting his heart and soul into it. He is, but also he's running around like a maniac, and it's not particularly great for our shape. And I say shape in quote marks because it didn't really exist. But yeah, whatever. I'm not bothered. They can all fuck off. That was a really difficult one to digest. I feel like that lit a rocket a little bit, that defeat.
It definitely didn't light anything for me. If anything, it was water on the fire for me. Since that game, it's just like I have not been invested in it. I mean, I didn't even realize it was the day of the Torino game until I got a text saying, "Hey, you come to the bar to watch the game?" And I was like, no. I told them no, but then I remembered that I hadn't left my house in like 4 days, and I had like 15 minutes left of a podcast I was listening to. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll throw it on in the car and just drive. So I went to watch us lose to Torino just to listen to a podcast. That's how my weekend went.
Just not good, is it?
Nope.
It's not good. Let's go on to the Torino game anyway. Look, right, you've just been knocked. Sorry, I can't say this without laughing. You've just been knocked out of the Champions League by a team that are fourth in the Eredivisie, with a caretaker manager, and you've taken their best striker, and they've got 10 injuries, including their captain and multiple teenagers in the team. You go out to a red card after stupid errors from your captain, I guess now vice captain. You have an obligation to respond. You have an obligation to put in a much better performance. You have an obligation to show the travelling fans that not all is lost, and that you still have the capabilities to make something of what has otherwise been a just, disgrace of a season. When your goalkeeper leathers the ball off the ass of your centre back 5 minutes in, and the ball ends up in the back of the net, that doesn't really send the right message, nor set the right tone. Discuss.
Yeah, you also forgot to mention a few other things that were in our favor at that point. Earlier in the morning, Bologna lost 2-0 to Parma. Lazio drew 0-0 to Venezia. Could have jumped. Could have made some big jumps in the table here.
Yeah.
Could have been looking at sixth place at this point. 2 off of fifth, with the game in hand being played coming up soon. And then they're playing the team in fifth at the weekend, which we'll get to both of those. We could have potentially been looking at genuinely sitting in fourth place 1 week from today. Season done and dusted. We did it. All right, we're in. Let's go.
Do you know what we said to that?
Why?
Said,
why make it easy? Why enjoy ourselves? Because we have
effectively
GQ interview coming out, and that's it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's great cover art. We have effectively said goodbye to the Champions League until 2026 in the space of 4 or 5 days. Yeah. That's what's happened with these two results. The whole undertone to this Torino performance, weirdly, and I know it counts for nothing because the two big moments in the game again three big moments in the game go against us again. But I actually didn't think we played that badly. I think we were pretty damn good.
Far and above the better team. Looking at the stats.
Maybe not damn good, but on top.
Looking at the stats, Torino had 0.3 XG. We had 2.45. We had 26 shots. They had 9. 8 shots on target to their 3. We had 11 corners to their 4. We were really dominant this game, and yet Vanya Milinkovic-Savic, sorry, Freudian slip there.
Are they related? Pop quiz.
They're brothers. My brother.
Yeah.
Wait, are they not?
Can I just? Yeah, they are.
Okay.
I believe so.
I thought they were, but you scared me when you made that face.
There can't be many double-barreled.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google this now.
I'm like 90% sure they're brothers.
Vanja Milinkovic, yeah, he is. Yeah. All right, here's one for you because I had this discussion with somebody, a mate of mine. Who's older, Vanja Milinkovic-Savic or Mike Maignan?
Mike.
Oh, yeah. But don't you think Vanja Milinkovic-Savic looks a lot older than 28?
Oh, yeah. No, he's been smoking them Balkan cigarettes since he was like 8 years old. You could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like he's had a rough life, but obviously he hasn't, as I'm holding scissors. Like, that's how wonderful my day's been. I don't know.
We're getting this taken down for like hate conduct. Yeah, I'd replace Mike with Vanja Milinkovic-Savic.
That's actually what I said before kickoff.
To
the group of people there, because I was looking at him like, look, this guy always shows up against us. He's a great Serie A keeper. Like, Mike's been on the down and down. I was like, maybe if we didn't renew him, we should sign this guy. then 5 minutes later, we're conceding that crazy own goal. And to top it off, they then bring out my steak and eggs. And guess what? I asked for medium, but I got it well done. So it
Oh,
was just
that's
like
shite.
it was a triple FU to me, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And then Pulisic gets a penalty. And I remind everyone, he's never missed one in his professional career, including you, Mr. Guy in the comments, who says, yes, he has. That was a preseason game. It does not count, nor do
Yeah.
U19 games. So remember that.
Oh, did he miss one in a U19 game?
Yeah, someone at the bar said that to me. He's like, "I missed one
Oh,
in the
fuck
U19 Dortmund
off.
game." I said, "Why do you know that? Like, were you
Oh,
on the team?
mate.
Why do you know that?"
Yeah, I want to show you a little something here actually about Vanja. Found this chart. Rohit did it actually. It's plots all Serie A goalkeepers, and then on one axis you've got their save percentage, so the amount of shots that they save, and on the other you've got the post shot XG minus the goals they actually conceded. So how many goals they've actually conceded relative to the quality of chances that they've faced. So you want to be in the top right. You want to be. Excuse me, to be high for goals denied, high for save percentage. Oh, you can't.
Yeah, I was like, I don't see anything.
You can't see that. Basically, oh man, my throat's.
If you want to send it to me, I could look
No,
at
it's
it.
all right. So basically, I'll have to try to describe it. Maignan is more over to the left side, shall we say. He's not in a great position, but his save percentage is nowhere near the lowest.
Is this
Vanja
just the
Milinkovic
season
Savic,
or
just this season, yeah.
okay?
Vanja Milinkovic-Savic is right up in the top right, right in the top right of the graph.
Yeah.
Might be able to find a way to overlay it, or I might post it on Milan Data, so go have a look at that. But yeah, shows that he's performing very, very well. You've got others like Di Gregorio and Sommer and Skorupski and stuff right in the middle. Actually,
Yeah.
Providel is really underperforming according to this. But anyway, Vanja
For a
Milinkovic-Savic.
team like Torino, he is well and above their caliber. You know, without him, they're struggling a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Look, this is a game we should have won. One thing about Vanya is I believe he's 6'8". Is that correct? Or he's very
Wow.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
Yeah.
a Goliath of a man. Let me just double check that. Oh, he got man of the match. 9.1 rating.
6'8", correct.
6'8", yeah.
6'8". Wow.
Yeah. Vanya's a big fucking guy. And one thing we kept trying to do were put up crosses in the air right next to him. So he didn't have to jump. He just grabbed the one shot we had towards the end, the Reinders goal. If you notice, it was a grounded cross, something he can't get to before anyone else. But every time we're putting one up, trying to go near post, he's just there. He just grabs it. We're trying to throw up near post to Joao Felix. He's like 5'8". You're literally a foot taller, and he's yoked. This dude is jacked. He's a big fucking guy. It makes no sense to me why we kept doing that. It was just something we were doing. But eventually, we make that low cross. Reinder shoots. He scores. It's great. Everyone's happy. We know he had the momentum. Obviously, he saved Pulisic's penalty, which I think was a fantastic penalty. People are saying, why didn't you go top right? Blah, blah, blah. Because he's 6'8". He could jump a lot easier than he could. To get down to the bottom left corner when you are 6'8" takes way longer than to reach up and stop something top corner. So he did what he always does. Strong, hard, fast, bottom left corner. Unfortunately, he went up against the best goalkeeper in Serie A as of right now. It is what it is. You're going to miss one eventually. It's almost like a weight lifted off of him, but it just sucks that it was this game, especially knowing that the Chow own goal happened, which was more Maignan than Chow, obviously. The other irritating thing is if you go back and look at all the penalties we've been given this season, and I may not be factually correct on this, so this is just a vibe statistic, so, take it as you will, but every penalty that we've been given straight away clearly with no VAR review, we've missed, and every penalty that we didn't get given that we forced to go to VAR and were awarded, we've scored. So even though I said in the bar, he's never missed, he's not going to do it, that was more convincing myself than anything because I said the other stat first, and I was like, something suspicious. That was too easy. We don't just get given penalties. We're not Inter. So that was interesting. Obviously, we didn't score that we scored. And then let's talk about their goal. That was interesting, huh?
Oof. The second one, I presume you mean?
Yeah. The only one they actually scored since we scored the first one.
Yeah. Just everything that we've basically already mentioned in this ep and already mentioned for weeks on end about how in the crucial moments we switch off in some way, we make a mistake in some way. Malik Chow, who probably gets reprieve for the first goal, was more concerned arguing with the referee about a call that had been made to switch on for the quick free kick that was taken. I have to be honest, right? Hell of a shot, this. First time, low angled in near enough in off the far post, just snuck inside the far corner. I've seen people blaming Maignan. Not as egregious as some of the other mistakes that he's made. I think it was just an absolute laser of a shot. But the fact he was even able to get it off, the fact he was even in space inside the box, the fact that, we give away a sloppy free kick and the first thought isn't, right, let's reset and regroup and
everyone's sleeping.
Make sure we get memory out. Everybody just fell asleep.
If you look at it, look, I'll go on record and say I think it's bullshit that they were allowed to take it that fast, because every single time we've tried to take a quick free kick, we've been pulled back and said do it again every single time. And people were still talking to the referee. When he took it, there were 3 players around him talking to the referee, who was as close as this bobblehead is to me right now. So, I mean, it wasn't right to allow him to take that free kick. He had blown his whistling point, so he was allowed to, but common sense says, hey, we're not ready yet. That's unfair, unsporting, whatever. That doesn't even matter. The part that pisses me off is not even Chow. It's the guy who scored, Janitis, whatever.
Janitis, yeah.
Vaginitis, I don't know. Was beyond everyone. He was well offside, and you're thinking, he's off. And then, who is walking in the back near the goal line? Theo fucking Hernandez. Yet again. This guy is never in position. He's never paying attention. He thought, it's not on my side. I don't have to do anything. Well, you do. You got to stay in line and keep him on side, or keep him off side even in this situation. Instead, you're leaving him on right in front of Maignan. He could have been talking. The player could have been talking to Maignan and would have been onside. That's how far back Theo was. And he was just walking, hands on hips, not even looking, just totally checked out of the game. And I get you're resetting. No one was on. No one was ready. But why are you so far away? Everyone else was at least in a straight line. Was he getting a water bottle? I don't understand what he was doing. And it's just another instance of Theo being checked out. And I started saying this a few weeks back, but I'm beginning to relate it to the fact that there simply is no alternative for this squad. We saw Bartezaghi. That's not enough. Terracciano, that's not enough. Alex Jimenez, that's not even enough. We do not have a backup left back. Everyone we've signed has been sent off to Futuro or loaned out. I don't even know where Ballatore is. I don't know what city he lives in.
He's at Le Havre. He actually left us.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Was it a loan or actual sell?
No, we terminated his contract.
Oh, good for us.
I said it with a smile on my face, like finally we got a resolution with a player that's got no part of the plan.
Free transfer. Woo.
Well done.
Yeah, so it's like there's no alternative. So it doesn't matter what he does, he's going to start.
Yeah, literally, he could. He could boot
get
the referee's
sent off in the second leg of a Champions League must win tie. I'm stuttering because I'm so fired up right now. He could get sent off in that, and then start the very next game and keep a guy on side for a quick free kick goal. And guess what? He's going to start again next game, because who else will? It doesn't matter.
Who else?
It does not matter.
Let's talk about the subs again. I'd like to say that in the first half, when we went behind, I thought we responded pretty well. Milinkovic-Savic made a decent stop to deny Jimenez when he'd sort of been found in behind. He hit that rising shot. Jimenez had that glancing header that went just wide of the far post. And then, the cross goes in. We get the penalty. And maybe if we took that away, we are talking about a different outcome, but we don't know. The change that he made at half-time was an interesting one. Leao off and Fofana on. And after the game, he basically confirmed it wasn't a physical condition thing.
It wasn't?
Whether it was... No, it wasn't. He said, he got asked, was it tactical or physical? And he said, well, it was a bit of both. And that to me says, oh, no, you just took him off because you didn't like what you saw.
which I disagree with. I thought for sure Musa was
Mm.
coming off because he was booked already. And I
Yeah.
thought for sure we're not going to get a third consecutive red card, right? Well, that's not something we want to do. Take off the guy that's on a card because his card was also egregiously stupid. I believe it was another shirt pull or something. No, I think it was a legitimate foul, but it was very light and it was his first one. It was quick in the game.
It was a harsh booking, yeah.
I remember being upset about it because they didn't get any bookings for a while, and I thought they had a lot worse fouls at that moment. I'm trying to just think back to it all. Yeah, when we saw it was Leao coming off, some people around me, and this wasn't my assumption, but they thought we were switching to a 4-4-2. I guess maybe that's what it was. It sort of didn't look like it to me. It looked more like a 4-3-1-2 in my mind, but no one agreed, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was 4-3-3 even.
Yeah, because you had that sub at half time, and then Conceição said he didn't like what he saw from the first few minutes of the second half, and he was worried about Musa, so he chose to throw Tammy on there. And then it was obvious we were going for two up front, and then I thought it was like a 4-2-4 type thing with João Felix playing on the left, and the aim was to be direct and to get surface in there. And then João Felix finally got taken off early in the game, and Sotil went on in his place. But Sotil weirdly ended up occupying more central areas generally, like you saw for the assist for the goal.
Yeah.
And then, Samu and Kamada were desperate rolls of the dice in the final few minutes again.
What do we gain from that every time? Like,
it's just like when you make it, you can't be making changes in the 88th minute when you're behind. You have to have already put out the team that you think is going to get you level in the game, at the very least. If you're winning and it's game management to kill off the clock, fair enough. Do it all you want. But to decide with 2 minutes left of normal time, right, okay, 16-year-old striker and winger who keeps getting last few minutes and is so out of form. It ain't good, man. The changes are not good.
Especially when you look at who's coming off. You know, Jimenez, okay, you said he had a knock. He wasn't perfect. It was both Jimenez, actually, in the 88th minute. So I get Alex Jimenez. Yeah, him and I. That's funny. So I guess, okay, a like-for-like striker sub, but is Jimenez or is Camarda really going to give you more than Jimenez in those last 2 minutes? Probably not. Chukwueze over the other Jimenez, all right, I guess if one's playing right back and you're sacrificing that defender because you do need that goal, I don't have a problem with that. You could have just kept the other Jimenez on, though. I think even after playing 88 minutes, he would have been fresher than Chukwueze, who just hasn't been playing. I don't know what his fitness level's like. And I've been the biggest Alex Jimenez critic, but I just think you keep him on there. Tammy, okay, I get bringing Tammy on for Musa, but I feel like Fofana should have came on for Musa earlier, not for Leao. Like, I don't know, it all just, I don't really have words, man.
Pissed it away again, I'm afraid. And
irritated today.
I did say I optimistically predicted a draw in the preview for this. I said we're not winning because we never win there, barring that one time we won 7-0, and that looks more and more of an anomaly every year. It was COVID period, so people don't necessarily remember it as vividly. But one win in our last 11, it was 11, now 12 games at the Stadio Olimpico Grande Torino, and I knew we wouldn't win, but I was sat on that 1-1 when Reinder's equaliser goes in. It's just like, just find a way to pick up a useful result, you know? Yeah. And no, once again, chips are down. Fuck it. Just completely shit the bed. And yeah, collectively, we're so off it. We're so off it. And this feeds into things that I've been unfortunately saying for weeks about how there ain't a hope in hell that we get top four. And people need to shut up about it, because even when it got to, did it get to 3 points at one point away? And then it was 5, and it's like, well, we got that game in hand, so everything can change very quickly. Yeah. And it can. If we take 6 points this week, brackets, we're not gonna, then yeah, things can still change a little bit. But this lot don't have the bottle, first of all, and the points per game pace we need is already pretty high. We haven't won 3 games in a row since September, I want to say. It's a long time ago anyway. And we're in a position where there's more doubts surrounding the star players than there are certainties, things that you can rely on. Yeah, it's a real mess. It's the results continue to be the symbol of everything that is wrong, and I'm afraid this was no exception. And Torino, all right, the little bit of an upturn this year. They've only lost once, and it was in 2025, and it was in the last minute to Bologna. I think they're starting to get somewhere under Vanoli a little bit, but yeah.
One thing to point out about that 7-0, that was the last game we played against Torino before Milinkovic-Savic was the starting goalkeeper.
You are joking.
No, I looked
mean,
it up. That's why
it makes you think.
Yeah, it does. It really does. They had Sirigu at the time, and then
makes you reflect.
And since then, it's been 1-0, 0-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 4-1 anomaly, 3-1 for them, and then 2-2, and then obviously the 2-1. So,
yeah.
We have not been able to only one time score more than 2 goals against him in a game. And actually, let me even see if he played that game, because at this point, I doubt it. No, he was
last season. I know last season when we lost 3-1 and we were 3-0 down away against Torino.
Yeah.
The goal we scored was a consolation penalty. So
the 4-1 win, we had 2 penalty goals. Ironically, both Giroud, not Pulisic, but Pulisic also scored in that game.
Yeah. I think Milinkovic-Savic has saved 80% of the penalties he's faced this season. Oof. 4 out of 5.
That's crazy.
Or it might not be 5 out of 6. I think it was that before the game. I mean, that's just mad,
Yeah,
absolutely mad.
Fantastic.
That's what happens when you 6-8.
Yeah, penalty save 4 out of 5.
Fuck. Crazy.
Yeah.
Brilliant as well. All right. I mean, let's just go into all the various individual incidents and everything, but it's just burn it down at this point. Man of the match for me. I don't give a shit.
Reinders maybe because he
scored. Yeah, man, he was the man of the match.
The man of the match.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, I don't know. Not bothered. Flop. I'm gonna go Mike because the error just set the tone, didn't it?
Yeah, you don't come back from that shit. You really don't. Yeah. What are you doing? Like, who fucking does that, man?
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy. Like,
both put it either side, mate. That's the ideal.
It's not like he doesn't see Chow right in front of him. I mean, they're this close. Like,
yeah.
What do you? And then to just fucking blast it into him too, like
at him as well. Like, fair. I don't want to say fair enough, but maybe there can be like a bit of. It can be unfortunate if you sort of trying to shank it clear and the attacker sticks a leg out and then it diverts back in or whatever. But just to whack it straight at your own player who is there.
People are trying to say they're like, oh, it's a freak accident. I said, no, it's not a freak accident. It's rare because nobody fucking does that. But it's not a freak accident. That's just a horrible decision. So
Looper real shit. Like, you kick it either side. And when the goal first went in, I said in our chat, like, oh, I want to look at that again because why has Chow sort of kept charging him down? It did sort of look like Chow just kept running at him, but he's holding off the man to make sure that he doesn't get to the ball. So Maignan just has the responsibility to kick it out for a throw-in. Like, if in doubt, put it out.
Just dribble with it a little bit, take a couple steps because he loves to do that all of a sudden, So it.
Yeah, he normally don't mind doing a fucking Cruyff turn on the edge of his own box, but
with no one behind him too. It's crazy.
What a guy. 5 million net per year. Enjoy. Bottle jobs, a lot of them. They can all fuck off. Juve winning against Cagliari, basically, they're 8 points away. It's not happening. I actually think we're going to finish 9th now rather than in the European places.
It would be better for us.
It would. Break. Yeah, let's do a Napoli. Which is first? Bologna on Thursday night. Let's move on.
Speaking of bottling, I think we lose.
Yeah, we're losing this. 100%. They've been really good in 2025. They've had a big upturn under Italiano. That I did think, like I picked them. I think in preseason predictions, I picked them to have a bit of a drop off, but not a massive one. I think I picked them to finish 6th, and I can still sort of see it coming a little bit. They are peaking at the right time. They are scoring goals in bunches again. They're out of the Champions League, obviously, which helps, as are we, but they were never really in it. So now I think they've sort of had this second wave of energy that others in and around probably won't have. They're decent.
This is a really just interesting comparison. obviously, yeah, they lost to Parma at the weekend.
They
And
did, yeah.
obviously, you know, math when it comes to the games and sports and teams isn't a one-to-one science, but they were able to put 3 past Torino and beat them. They
Yeah.
beat Atalanta and kept a clean sheet, and they scored 2 and kept a clean sheet against Como, who just beat Napoli, and I believe got a result against us, or at least scored a goal. I don't even remember, honestly.
Yeah,
At
they
this
went a
point, you
goal
can
up.
convince me anyone beat me. So, and then ironically, a guy that we were linked with over the summer, summer, and I believe a little bit in January, that Stefano and Lorenzo and Madison and Isaac and probably everyone in the chat bar, you and me, said keep away. Orsolini is their top goal scorer. So, you know, maybe it would have been nice to take a competition's top
I
goal
mean,
scorer.
he's definitely not better than Chukwueze. That's what we've learned, right?
Yeah.
Their results since they lost at home to Verona in the new year, basically. Drew 2-2 with Roma, drew 2-2 with Inter, beat Monza 3-1, drew with Empoli 1-1, beat Como 2-0, knocked Atalanta out of the cup away from home 1-0, drew 0-0 with
Dortmund as well.
Lecce. Yeah, they did. They finished the Champions League with a good result. Beat Torino 3-2, as you mentioned. Lost the Emilia derby against Parma, again, as you mentioned. But dare I say, when it's a derby, sort of anything can happen.
It's their only loss of 25.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And that brings us to the present day, where, you know, they'll kind of... I guess they won't fully count themselves out of the Champions League thing, just as we won't yet, even though we probably should. They're 8 points off, and this is their game in hand, as it is for us. But certainly the European places are on, and Europa League, for example, would not be a disaster for them as it would be for us. You know, they'd be keeping European football, which would be important. But they just seem a better team at the moment. So
they have momentum on their side. They have the drive on their side. I mean, they did the double over Torino. That's ridiculous because it's a super team. You can't beat them. Yeah, I mean, they just everything's going for them right now. Like you said, Europa League is a celebration for them. For us, it's a failure. So they're pushing while we're kind of more in our, I don't know, in our feelings about it all right now. So everything leads me to believe that they're going to win again. I mean, in 2025, they've scored 2+ goals in all but 3 of their matches.
Pretty good. And they'll do so again against our defense. Swiss cheese.
Of course. So our defense is horrible. No Walker. I mean, Theo hasn't played a real game in about 8 months. So we're going in 10 men or 8 men down, whatever it may be. I don't know.
Of course, you've got Pomega and Davide Calabria there too.
Adamant to make a statement.
Santiago Castro will score against us. He's having an excellent season. 15 goal contributions, 8 goals, 7 assists. He's one to watch. I think he'll probably get a big move in the summer. You mentioned Orsolini there as the top scorer in the league, and Doi is having a good season too. Likojanis is dangerous in terms of service. He's got 6 assists there. Odgaard looks like a pretty promising player. Benjamin Dominguez too. They've built a decent squad there. I think it was always going to be hard for them to follow up on the act of last season, especially when Motta decided to go, Xerxes decided to go. But, you know, they got Sartori in charge there as the sporting director, and I think he's done a decent job. And we're going to get beat.
I think 2-1 loss for us.
Yeah, on the team, just quickly, I don't know how far Warren Bondo is away from playing.
He's been on the bench.
Yeah, like just getting a minute. You know, like why is he not being used yet? Is what I'm trying to say. I'd probably start him. I think you just have to throw something out there that's a bit different, because the decline of Reinders and Fofana under Conceição, and I think it's because they're both knackered. It needs studying. You know, basically all their numbers are down across the board. I know Reinders scored the equaliser against Torino. Hopefully that's the start of him picking up again a little bit. But Fofana's been benched the last 2 games, which says a lot. But I think you need to go for legs in midfield in this one and physicality, because otherwise they could do us down the middle. But what I want to see overall, when everybody's 100% or close to it, is either Musa or Bondo alongside Fofana in a double pivot and Reinders as the 10 again.
Yes.
That's what I want to see.
Yes.
I just think that gives us so much more balance, and he was playing so well there. He was, along with Pulisic, our best player, but it's because they were bouncing off each other, and then Leao on the left and Jimenez up front. And then you don't have to play the what are we calling him this time? The fuck up for all from the first minute. You can keep one of them, and
bring it on.
Change the game with those substitutions rather than you play all your aces in.
I'm higher on Joao Felix than I think a lot of people in the fan base are, but I don't think he should be starting over Reinders. I think he gives you something different, and like you said, in a game like this where you're likely to get overrun in the midfield, you need those legs there, because Joao is going to play like he's the striker, whether you play him as a center back or not. It doesn't matter where he's at on the pitch. He's running in the front. So you're leaving a giant hole in the midfield when you put him on. So he is a player who might produce something with fresh legs if you put him on, down a goal, 15 minutes left, 20 minutes left. I think that's where he will do his best, not playing a full 90 every week.
Yeah, especially when he's gone from kind of a bit part role at Chelsea and his only starts being in the Conference League against teams that I didn't know existed until I saw them on the fixture list. Like, it's a big jump, and I think he's probably suffering a little bit from playing overtime. But again, that's a Conceição thing. Like, you can manage these minutes more effectively than what you are doing. You don't have to throw all four out multiple games in a row, especially when it hasn't worked and it hasn't fixed any of the issues. So that's what I would do. That's the team that I think may give us a fighting chance of getting to the end of the season with a bit of dignity. But Bologna are going to do us, and then we'll keep sliding. It'd be interesting to see what the fallout would be if we were to not win either of the games this week, which I think is a real possibility.
Yeah.
But we'll go on to the Lazio game. I actually do think we are going to win this.
I was going to say.
Now I've said that. I think we're going to win one of the two, just because,
I feel like we show up for the games against the teams above us. If we're playing anyone below us, there's a good chance we're dropping points. Playing anyone above us, there's a good chance of a draw or a win. And I don't know what our history with Lazio has been like recent head-to-head, but I know that
we always have their number at home.
I feel like too.
It's a strong home fixture for us.
And I know they play Inter tomorrow in the Cup, which is their only chance at a trophy, right? So they're going to go out for that.
They did quite well in the Europa League, I think.
Oh, you know what? I think they're favorites, actually. You're right. So
it's them. Is it Europa or is it Conference?
I think it's Europa, but I don't know.
It is, because they avoided Roma in the draw.
Yeah.
I think Spurs and Man United are favourites for Europa, and then the Roman clubs. But Lazio, one thing I will say is that they are surpassing my expectations. I said pre-season predictions that they'd be mid-table rather than top four, and they've held their own, and they've held a spot in the top four for quite a long stretch here in the season, and only really fallen out recently.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done a good job there, Marco Baroni, in terms of. I still don't think their squad on paper is the best. I don't. I'm surprised that they are where they are. They held fourth from game week 17 to game week 24. They've just dropped out in the last couple of weeks. But they've had a couple of good stretches in the season. Drew their most recent game 0-0 with Venezia, though. But that was after a 2-2 draw with Napoli, which was a brilliant game. A 5-1 win over Monza, absolutely obliterated them. They beat Cagliari away. Lost the derby on January 5th. Mm-hmm. They lost 6-0 at home to Inter in December. How could I forget that? But they had a really good run from end of September through to end of November, where they won, 7 out of 8 games.
Yeah.
And they were really putting teams to the sword while balancing the European competitions. So, they finished top of the Europa League phase with 6 wins out of 8 as well, only conceding 5 goals in that. So they're having a great season. They're having a good season.
Yeah, I mean, this season obviously is what really dictates how it's going to go. But looking historically, just going back through this decade, which means since the start of 2020, not the last 10 years, that would be within a decade, but this decade, the 2020s, we have played them at home 5 times and won all 5 of those. and only conceded goals in one of them, which we conceded 2 goals, winning 3-2 in December of 2020. So
that was Theo Hernandez's last-minute header in the in COVID times. That was a brilliant game.
yes, and we had a Çalhanoğlu penalty in that.
Yeah, I think Immobile scored for them.
Yeah,
Rebic
I was
scored
at.
ahead of us.
I think
You're at the one that we won with the Theo run, right?
Yeah, I think
And
it was a 2-0 in
Yeah,
2023. Is that what it was? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Benacer scored first half. Then
Leo
Theo
got
solo
subbed
run.
off in the 11th minute, and I said, "Wow, I didn't even get to see him."
Yeah. He pulled up with his groin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Their potent attack are Lazio this season. They've got, this is all comps, but they've got Castellanos on 17 goal contributions, Zaccagni on 17. If we sell Leo this summer, Zaccagni is one of the names that I would have a look at. Pedro, he's 37. He is one of those, like, I think, underappreciated evergreen footballers. Like, he's still playing as a winger at 37. And
You know what's crazy? And this is probably just because of like one season at Barca, but I, for the life of me, cannot differentiate Alexis Sanchez and Pedro. They're the same player in my head. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, no, he's a Udinese. And then I was like, oh, wait, wrong one.
And another thing, I can't for the life of me summon any recollection of Pedro playing for Roma, but he did. And then he left for Lazio. But I can,
that.
Yeah, vaguely, but he's such a Lazio player to me now that, yeah, that's wild. But fair play to Pedro, he's smashing it. Was decent at Chelsea as well. Buledia, he's also got double digits goal contributions. And then you've got Nuno Tavares, if we were to sell Theo this summer, he's on 9 assists playing left back. Even Dele Bashiru, who we were linked with ages ago, he's having a good season. 5 goals, 2 assists. Ravella as well. He's the real talent in the midfield there. Very, very good player. This is going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be tough, and I don't back us to keep a clean sheet. But I just don't. I think every time we're on the brink of like a full-on crisis, full-on meltdown, like bottom half shit, we'll pull it out. And I think that we're more likely to win this game than the Bologna one. So I'm going to give us it 2-1. As for team, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's going to be back or anything or any injuries. So that's what it is.
We might actually have people back. I think Kyle Walker's still going to be out for this one.
Walker and RLC are meant to be out still.
Yeah. Okay. Then I don't know who would come back then. God, when is RLC ever going to return?
What the fuck is RLC doing, by the way? Is he going into training and like walking on broken glass to get in the door or something? Like, the fuck is happening? He was supposed to be back 2 weeks ago. I'm sure he was. And
yeah, I thought he's played one game with Conceição.
And he was on for part of it, and he had to come off injured.
Yeah,
it was in the Super Cup.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
weird.
And it's a shame because, as we've spoken about before, I think he's a player that you would like to have a look at. But you can't have a look at him when he's in the fucking treatment room every week.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Big week, 1 more. Oh, mate, what a. How many days would it be? Let's call it 11, 12 days. That would be.
2 weeks.
Knocked out of the Champions League. Yeah, 2 weeks. Knocked out of the Champions League by Feyenoord. Effectively out of Champions League qualification after losing to Torino in that way. And then the big head-to-head games where you have a chance to somehow claw yourself back into the reckoning. You take 1 point out of 6. That's your prediction.
Saturday morning, dude, when Lazio and Bologna dropped points, I was telling everyone, I said, this is the most important week of the season. We're getting 9 points in our next 3 games, and we're going to be in 4th place, and everyone's going to forget everything. We're happy. Conceição's the GOAT. I'm hyping them all up. It's been 2 days, and I'm thinking we're picking up 1 point in 3 games.
Milan will do that to you.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Anyways, we don't deserve nice things, apparently. Yeah, here we are. Let's move on. There's no talking points, really, I don't think. I mean, all right, let's do one if you've got the banner there. Milan News, among other sources, are reporting that in March, so next month, we will pick a new sporting director. They have named 4 candidates, but said that there might be some surprises too. Number 1, the leading candidate is... I know. The leading candidate, it might be one of these four guys. It might not be. The leading candidate is Andrea Berta, who left Atletico Madrid in December. I've been vocal about my love for him, want him in. The other two are Iglitare, who was at Lazio.
He's a bastard.
He's a good negotiator, but he's a bastard. Weird looking man as well. And oh my God, I've gone blank. Oh, Francois Modesto, who was at Monza and has done a bit of an apprenticeship under Galliani, I think. He's one of those that like people be like, I don't know who he is, and I understand why because he hasn't built that higher profile yet. But I think he's like highly regarded.
I thought
on the path of like a Sartori or a.
I thought he did really well under at Monza in the beginning. Obviously they've struggled in recent. Yeah, but that first window when they came up was electric.
Like you can, because I've seen a lot of people dismissing the name already, and some of these people will have said Bondo's a great signing. Well, look at the guy who brought him to Italy, Yeah, there you go. But
my worry though is that it's always the same issue when you go from a lower club to a bigger club is can your mentality shift while keeping the same caliber, because you're looking to bring in cheap, low-cost options, relatively unknowns to a low-level club. And that takes a lot of skill to do successfully, something which he did. Then you jump to a big club and you think, now you have more Reese's, you could go for resources, you could go for bigger name players.
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, Reese's Pieces. And that becomes difficult because you might just get another RLC. I know that name. He played for a big team. We could get him in cheap. Cool. And that's kind of like a path we've gone under. And I don't know if I want that. If he could keep the same hidden gem mentality and just up the value, I guess, make him a little less hidden. But if you could keep that evaluation level, or if you continue exactly what you're doing, that's also bad because I don't need the same players that would be a huge success for Monza to be coming straight to Milan from, no disrespect, but the second division in France. I need players better than that. I need ready-made players or players that are a year away from ready-made.
Yeah,
we need to win.
Yeah,
we cannot be doing 4-game episodes with 0 wins. It's not okay.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well put. I think you can afford a 50% hit rate at Monza. You can't afford that with us.
Exactly.
That's one way to distill it down. And the fourth name was Fabio Paratisi, who's
a criminal.
He's a criminal, yeah. No, he's serving a ban that expires in July. Apparently, he can be brought on board as an advisor. Like, he just can't serve as a sporting director. So you can do that and have him plan for next season. So I think there's 2 paths you go here. Well, there's 3 paths, actually. One of them is you hire an unknown and you go for the complementary figure rather than the I'm going to lead the project sporting director. Mm-hmm. And the info that we have is that we're more likely to go for that sort of a person. So like Modesto to work alongside Moncada and blah, blah, blah. I don't think any of us want that. I think we want someone to come in and say, this is all wrong. I'm going to sort it for you. That's what you want. You want a fixer to come in. And that's where I'd go with Berta. I think... I'd definitely go with Berta if they want to keep Conceição because, as I said before, I think building a Simeone team isn't a million miles away. But just his experience there, the fact that they are absolutely the 3rd club in Spain behind 2 absolute giants, and they've still won league titles, and they've still gone to a Champions League final, and all this stuff. He's had them punching well above their weight. Or I guess the other option is you go Italian job. You go reset on league experience. So you go for Tare, who's Albanian, I know, but, worked at Lazio.
Yeah, he's been on Lazio forever, yeah.
Tare and Maurizio Sarri. Paratisi and Sarri, because he went to Juve under... I don't know.
It didn't work out well, though, right?
No, he lasted a season. But he won something, didn't he? He just
Europa.
Because
was he Europa? No, he won a league title. He won the league, fucked off, right? Yeah.
But had a disagreement and left. I've always said, and I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but I've always said that I don't think Sarri is a Milan manager because we like the person of style. We like the suit manager, not the tracksuit manager, the non-outspoken. But the last few months has totally ripped that the fuck up.
Yeah, nothing makes sense anymore.
Yeah, so why not?
Because it's not the same club. Milan of 2025 is not the same Milan as even the Banter era 2013. but the 2010s or the early 2000s, they're different. Different ownership, different management, different players, different rules. You know, the league's different. The total climate of football is different. Milan is not the club that it was, and in a lot of ways, that's a good thing. In a lot of ways, that's a bad thing. So I think there's a lot of historical precedence that unfortunately doesn't matter anymore, and that's why I cringe every time I get on Twitter and I see people talking about Champions League DNA and any of that. It's like, win a fucking game, make it to a knockout round, and then we could talk about that. You know, you're embarrassing yourself and everyone else around you. So I've been very negative this episode, and I apologize. But
Mate, I've let off a few F-bombs, and I apologise if you don't like the swearing, but we've done it
fuck
enough.
it.
Let's do some let's do some questions from the Discord chat. What are we on? 24th of Feb. Trying to do ones in the... All right, Nintendo Nino. Let's be honest. If we brought in Klopp/Pep tomorrow, would we really improve this season?
This season, no. No, not at all. Not this season. Pep didn't even win the Premier League his first season. And Klopp, it took 8 years to get one. So, I mean...
Yeah, and Arne Slot's rocked up and done it in.
He's doing the treble.
7 months, yeah. My God, like, I know it's a little bit weaker in terms of there's no one really pushing them game for game, Liverpool, but what's happened there needs studying, man. Like, you know, it's been such a seamless transition and nobody saw it
because the
really
team
coming.
hasn't changed that much.
No, they didn't really back him. We all, I say we all, anyone looking from the outside in would have said Liverpool needed a defensive midfielder badly last summer. They didn't go and get one. They didn't even get one in January. And yet I think he is a brilliant example of what coaching can do. Yeah. Like, you don't need to sign a load of players always to fix your problems. You can be a good coach. You can turn Gravenberch into a holding midfielder if you're a good coach. Like, yeah, the power of coaching to improve individuals and the collective is so lost in this day and age. It's so transfer heavy. Like, we need to rip everything up and start again. Or why don't you bring in a genuinely good tactician and man manager to just, you know, connect?
Well, you look at Simone Inzaghi turning Hakan from an attacking mid to a defensive mid.
Good.
That would have been nice if we had that.
You know? Elite coach. There are a few elite coaches left, but Ancelotti, you know, he still, when everything seems lost, pulls it out when it matters, man. Anyway, would it make a difference?
I don't think so.
No.
Not yet.
Well,
not this season.
Are we bringing in Pep in current mental state or like prime Pep? Because at the moment, Pep's fucked.
I'm in the same mental state as Pep right now, man. Both bald and clawing our eyes out, so.
One thing I'll throw out there, actually. Do you think, looking back, given that he's doing a really good job with Marseille, we should have just taken the risk on De Zerbi? Or do you think he would have lasted until December 2? He looks like the guy now. Like, because they weren't expected to win the league over PSG, but you could say Lille did it under Gaultier, so maybe there is sometimes the opportunity to do it, but they're having a great season. Marseille.
Where are they at? I don't ever check the French league. Oh, wow, okay. Well,
they're second and they're playing really well. They're playing a really good brand.
Yeah, but they're still apparently 13 behind the top, which...
Yeah, but it's PSG, isn't it? And PSG looked to have really clicked this time.
Well, and I think that's...
They won 10-0 on aggregate in the Champions League playoff.
Yeah. That's the gift of going to a club in a League One. Honestly, the only league where it's not like that right now is Serie A, but you almost aren't expected or asked to even try to win the title because you're not going to, right? PSG, that's the bare minimum. Man City, that's the bare minimum. Bayern Munich, that's the bare minimum. Real Madrid, that's the bare minimum, even though they won't win it every year. Barcelona is the bare minimum, even though they win it every other year. But you go to a club like Marseille, it's like, yeah, we'd love to qualify for the Champions League. That'd be great. That would be a huge achievement for us. Now you do it, and you're looking like the greatest manager ever. But then you go to a club like Milan, where it's like, yo, we're like the 6th best team, and our goal is to win the title. Can you do it? That's a lot of pressure. I don't think you can do it. And I think that's a lot of pressure for any manager. The transition to a club like Milan in a league like today's Serie A, where one season Napoli is the best team, the next season it's Inter, the next season it's Juventus, the next season it's Milan, the next season after that it's Inter again, then Napoli again. You know, we don't have consecutive winners because the league is actually the healthiest it's been in a while. We're just the victims this time.
That's a good point.
I think that's way more pressure than a guy like De Zerbi could handle. Even though he knows the league and is aware of the status of it, I just don't think he would be the one to survive it.
Oh, he's a bit mad as well, isn't he? He like makes some really odd comments in the media at times where he's like, "I'll just leave if
you wouldn't want
the
a manager
players don't
doing that,
believe in my
right?
idea." Yeah. Oh God. I was just looking through the results yesterday. Marseille lost 3-0 to Auxerre, so that's funny. And also, Feyenoord needed a 91st minute winner to beat Almere City at home. So that's context. It's all context. Milan just mid-table club. Oh God. History teacher Steve. Therapy question time. What do you do after a loss to make yourself feel better?
I
Punch
cut
a
myself.
kitten.
No, that's I can't.
No,
I'm
no.
so bad.
Demon,
That's a joke. I don't do that.
demonify.
Yeah, no, honestly.
Cut yourself some fries for eating. Cut yourself some broccoli to go with your
Yeah.
yeah.
What
What do I do?
what did I do? I think I came home. My girlfriend asked me how I was. I said frustrated and annoyed, and I went upstairs and lied down in bed.
Frustrated and annoyed. If she'd have come back with "they're the same thing," would you have had a case? Yeah.
No, I don't do that either. Don't worry, guys.
No.
I'll put this down though.
What do I do? Well, I work. I kind of work through it. I have to work through it. So, like an hour, 90 minutes after a game, I'll be on doing the post-match comments and sorting all of the social media posts and stuff. So maybe that, in a weird way, helps me. It certainly helps me. I guess unwind naturally because I'm sort of processing stuff. But one thing it doesn't help me with is when we win and I just want to enjoy it, because you're sort of in work mode.
Yeah.
Like I remember after the Super Coppa final thinking, this is amazing. Fuck, got a load of stuff to cover now,
Yeah. In the age of streaming, you never know like whose stream is going to be the fastest. So I always mute the chat about 15 minutes before kickoff. That way I avoid it. And when we lose or we drop points and it's a shitty result or whatever, I don't unmute it. I just go back in every now and then when I have a original
hot
thought.
take.
Yeah, a hot take most of the time. I go in and I throw it in there and then I exit and I don't check the responses. Just stir some shit and piss myself off more. But yeah.
Sometimes I check Bidar's Twitter feed just to remind myself that I'm not as angry as he will ever be.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I avoid social media. I don't get on. I stay off Twitter, stay off Instagram. I disconnect.
Yeah. This is a good one. Shiza, is there any youth players we have right now that you think would have got more chances this season if Conceição had been our coach from the beginning? I feel like he can't really afford to play many of our younger players because of the situation that we are in.
I don't think he would.
No, I think the answer is probably no, but he did have a good track record at Porto for bringing players through. I just don't know who. I mean, I guess he seems to like Jimenez a lot. I don't know if that counts, but
I think that's more so Real Madrid have the buyback. I think there's some more I don't know what the word is.
Do you think it's minutes-based type thing and we couldn't use him in the first half?
I think it's just more behind the scenes kind of bureaucratic shit with his playtime more than anything while he's only on the first team now. I think it's a lot of that type of thing. And I don't know if it's coming from Jimenez side or our side or Madrid side, but I do think there's a lot of like politics behind it because the men's game is just crazy political, especially at the youth level. It's not just what you bring to the game, it's what you bring to the team. And there's other aspects to it that get put into play versus like the girls' game. It's like, oh, if you're a good player, we'll call you up sort of deal. And
there's the whole if you're good enough, you're old enough, and that's why I kind of give Fonseca a bit of not credit. He was like, if Kamada's not going to be with the Futuro, I might as well use him, And he actually started a couple of games under him, and he got more meaningful minutes off the bench. And now it's gone back to the garbage time shit. Yeah. And he came off the bench on Saturday night, and then had to dash to.
The Futuro.
We were at home. I think, against whoever we lost to, the Futuro. But he started then for the Futuro the next
Pescara?
day. Pescara, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And he scored, and we
Mhm.
lost. And
I
Bonero's
will
getting sacked, by the way.
We'll say, what's his name? Conceição, Jesus Christ. For
He's
dude,
certainly not.
I know I'm so all over the place. This is my worst performance ever on this podcast. 350 episodes, and I'm still sounding retarded dumb.
At least you don't have throat
I'm
cancer.
struggling, guys. Sorry.
Apologies.
We got to wrap this up. But
that wasn't a joke.
he said the other day, or after one game, that the young players made individual mistakes that caused errors. And I really didn't think the young players were at fault for any of those errors in the game he said it. But one of those players was Camarda taking a deep shot when he should have passed it. And the other one was Alex Jimenez not passing to Chukwueze on that breakaway in the Champions League when he probably should have. So I think he's not a big fan of using our young players. He might have been at Porto, but not at Milan.
Well, I guess the Futuro have shown themselves to be the 18th best team in the third division of Italian football. So, yeah. Do you know what? Maybe we'll do that as the bonus this week. I know we did. No, we did one though, didn't we? A bit of a Futuro deep dive, but like it's fully the wheels have come off now. Yeah. It's great. We're changing coach and everything. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Nearly an hour and a half again, but needs must. It's helped though. I feel a bit lighter on the chest, even though my cough says otherwise.
I feel
been
worse.
Ill for about 3-4 weeks now, but you know it'll go, I'm sure. Anyway, thank you if you made it this far. Really appreciate it. Hope it's therapeutic in some way. Hopefully the tide turns and we can be more positive about the team and about the state of the club and everything from top to bottom. But we're not there yet. Check out the Substack. Sure, we'll have some juicy stuff out there in the next week because everything is gearing towards big changes. I've been your host, Oli Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Oli Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining. Just trying to point at you.
Oh, wrong.
Cheers for
wrong side.
Just for joining.
Yeah, yep, I'm here. See you guys next time.
Yeah, catch you later this week, bonus episode, and next week, main episode. Take care, everyone.